Welcome to Story Chats at Inspy Romance. I'm Elizabeth Madry, and I'm here tonight with my two co-hosts.
I'm Narnia Atkins.
And I'm Valerie Comer.
So we don't have a guest tonight. It's just going to be the three of us. And sometimes it's nice to just have the three of us, but it's been super nice to have guests too. That's exciting. Tonight we are talking about, and I should say today, shouldn't I? Because it's just night for us, but it might be day where you are. I guess maybe it doesn't matter.
Day for me.
Yeah, that's true. It's early morning for Narelle. We're talking about books that have winter but are not Christmas. And the phrasing of that, I think it was Valerie suggested the topic. We're going to blame Valerie.
I don't
Even
remember.
if it wasn't Valerie, we're going to blame her. Immediately brought to my mind Narnia, because that's what they describe Narnia as when the White Witch is reigning, right? Is winter but never Christmas. And so there'll probably be some Narnia fun in here as well today, because I don't think it's ever wrong to talk about Narnia. So we talked about this briefly when we were recording our episode on Christmas romance. It came up. And so I know that we talked some about how there were books that included Christmas. They were sort of wintry, but they weren't really Christmas romances per se, because Christmas was not almost like a character or, an important part of the story. So we can talk about those sorts of books. We can talk about Narnia. We can talk about some of the spiritual themes that come from always winter and never Christmas, because there's a lot of spiritual theming there that you can drag out. So that's where we're going to go. And I think we're going to start off with Narelle, because I know she chose one of the same books I did. So I'll let her choose it first.
We do this all the time.
We do. We have very similar taste.
We are often picking similar books. So the one that I'm talking about is Can't Help Falling by Kara Isaac. Yep. So this was her second book release. It came after Close to You, so it follows along from that story. And this is my favorite Kara Isaac book, and it's also beautifully structured in terms of story structure. So if we have any writers listening, Can't Help Falling is a really good book to read if you're looking at contemporary romance and a story that's very well structured. And so this one has a Narnia theme, so we're kicking off Narnia already.
And all the boxes.
And the Meet Cute is a very good one. They're in an antique shop, and there is a teacup that's very important in this story. And of all places, our heroine is hiding in a wardrobe, as you do.
Right.
As you do.
I don't know who you are who does this, but apparently that's a thing.
So I'm not going to say much more about the story because I don't want to give it away, but it's one of my favorites and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend you go and look it up and read it. And I really, in this particular story, enjoyed the references back to Narnia. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah.
And it's also cold. It's set in Oxford in England. And so it has that wintry, cold English thing happening. And it doesn't have the Christmas references. Or if there's Christmas references, I've forgotten about them. I don't associate.
Why was he buying that teacup for? I mean, I know he was buying it for his mother. Was it for a Christmas present?
I'm trying to remember now.
I don't remember either. But Christmas is not a huge part. My dog just came back in.
I have read this book as well, and I don't remember why he bought the teacup either.
Okay.
It was a set. I think it was the missing part of an antique tea set.
Yes.
Do you watch Antique Roadshow?
I love Antique Roadshow.
Yes. So it really draws on that, where it's an antique tea set that's very, very old, and I think it's his mother's, and he's looking for this particular teacup, and that's why he's in the shop.
Yep. So, and I love this book because, again, we talked about some of the spiritual themes that sort of blend in with the Narnia, and they definitely fit into this book as well. Both of them are they start the book in sort of a spiritual winter. And they both need that reminder of why Jesus came and really the whole joy of living in a relationship with Christ, because they're both missing it completely on their own. And to see how it develops through the course of the book, that's also beautifully done. Again, the story structure is fabulous, but if you're looking about how to weave a spiritual arc into a book, it's another fabulous example of that as well. Because it's not overbearing. In some places, actually, I feel like it could be a little more overbearing. But I like a little more overbearingness when it comes to spiritual themes. I love that. But it's really, really well done. It's a great book. Do you have anything to add? You've read it too. I know,
I
Valerie.
have, but it's been a
long
while.
time ago. Yeah.
I just, sadly, what I remember is that I love Kara Isaac's books, and I love that one, and then I'm done with my memories on that. I read over 150 books, and it's really hard to remember the plots of books that I read 2-3 years ago, when I can't even remember half the ones that I read in, October.
Sure. That's fair. That's fair.
But I remember liking it.
Excellent. Did you pick a book, Valerie? Tell us about your
I did.
choice.
I've been reading, I'm not quite done it yet, Love Meant to Be by Sally Bayless. And it starts out at New Year's. So we're post-Christmas anyway. The heroine's name is Meredith, and she and her sister Ava are orphans. Their parents are both gone, and so they're very, very close. And her sister is has gone back after Christmas now to university, and but I guess it didn't snow. This is in Missouri, so they don't get a ton of snow all the time. But now it's snowing on New Year's Day, and her sister isn't here. And she and her sister always celebrate the first snowfall by making a snowman. So she's busy making a snowman and like FaceTiming with her sister, right? Not exactly, because you can't really do that with one hand. But anyway, they've been back and forth on the phone. So she's made this big snowman, and she's gone inside to get the last finishing touches. And I just want to read a little bit about it, because it really cracked me up. So we've got single dad, Zach, who's home from Phoenix, I think, or something like that. And he's visiting his grandparents. So he's driving down the road, and the snow is falling, and he's forgotten how to drive in snow, and his tires aren't that good. And he's edging along, and the car starts to fishtail, and it slides, and you know where it's going, right? There in the middle of her front yard, where her snowman had stood, was a light blue sedan. The lower sections of her snowman were shattered. The snowman's head, fully intact, sat on the hood of the car with its smile still in place. So then the man and his daughter get out of the car, and it's like, oh no, I'm sorry, all the stuff. And she goes, don't worry, I can fix it. Meredith lifted the snowman's head off the hood of the car and set it on the ground beside her. I'm simply glad you're both okay. I'll build a new base for Mr. Snowman and do, well, a head transplant. She had me there, right? So
that's awesome.
So it's one of those stories that you could call it a new beginning, as well, as we've talked about the last few weeks. But the snow and the fact that they're interacting over this poor decapitated snowman with the head sitting on the hood of his car made me laugh.
It's a good visual. It's a really good visual.
That smile still in place. I was like, huh? Nice. I can see this. Yeah, the whole thing kind of played out as a movie in my mind. And yeah, I really enjoy Sally's books. So they're set in a small town called Abundance, Missouri. And so some previous characters, pop in, of course, as they do in these kinds of series. But yeah, that was fun.
That's cool. I love it. So I had chosen Sheltered Hearts, which was the prequel novella that Tobin McClain wrote for her Arcadia Valley
Right.
romance
Yeah.
set. And it's honestly, well, I loved all of her contributions to that series, but this one is maybe my favorite because it's got this huge snowstorm, and this woman's car breaks down, and she manages to push through this blinding snowstorm to bang on the door of a Mexican restaurant, and the owner lets her in, and they end up getting snowed into this restaurant together during this horrible blizzard. And so of course, romance has to follow because of course that's what happens. But it's set in January or February, I believe. It's a later winter snowstorm, which is nice. And again, both of them are definitely starting the series, the book, in sort of a winter place in their spiritual lives. Everything feels dead, everything is cold. And they're still waiting to see what is the hope of spring. Is there hope for spring, spiritually speaking, let alone waiting to get shoveled out of this restaurant where they've now been trapped together to figure things out. So I think honestly that's sort of what I love about books that aren't necessarily Christmas but have the winter, is because I love the parallel idea with the spiritual themes starting out, because I think so many times we find ourselves in these winter places, and it's hard to remember sometimes when you're there that things are not dead, they're resting,
Dormant. Yeah.
they're dormant, and you can't stay there forever, absolutely you don't want to, but dormant is different than dead. And there is spring yet to come. So I liked that spiritual theme that she had in there, as well as just the idea of I miss snow. I think is a lot of it. I grew up in a place that got a lot of snow. We would get sometimes 5 feet of snow overnight and not have any school delay because we just got this kind of snow. So they knew, the streets were shoveled. You were fine. Just go to school, kids. Even though I walked. I mean, it was like, it didn't matter. You just walked in the street because the sidewalks weren't clear, but whatever. And I miss that. We had a threat of snow here, and they shut everything down for 2 days, and I don't even think we got enough to measure. We got a little bit of ice on my deck. It's like a hard frost, really, more than snow. It was horrible, but everything shut down for 2 days because people had to freak out. And I'm like, and I did laugh to myself. I'm like, everybody's freaking out and trying to run to the store to buy milk and toilet paper, but it's all already gone because, everybody bought it all in 2020 and it's just never managed to come back. So I don't know what you panic buy in a snowstorm anymore because it's all already panic bought. It's already gone.
It's rough.
And sanitizer.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll keep you warm. You can light it on fire if you need to, I guess. I don't know. So I love
toilet paper in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
no,
love
we
snow.
have no snow in Australia, but if there's the slightest thing that goes wrong, it's loo paper, is what toilet paper. It's just flies off the shelves.
Yep.
I don't know. It's like everyone's teddy bear is toilet paper here. I haven't quite worked out the logic of it, but anyway.
No. Do you have another, Narelle?
No, I've just got one today.
Just the one?
So I'm looking for recommendations. Well, I mean, I think, do you need to have snow in a winter book for it to be a winter book?
That's a good question.
That's probably, instead of a book, I've got a question.
No, it's a good question. I'm going to say not necessarily. I do feel like, being Northern Hemisphere centric, that it should at least be cold. Because like we've spent time in Florida in January and February where they might think it's cold, but even where we live, it's like, it's not cold. It's in the 50s Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Again, not the surface of the sun, but but that's not super. I mean, it's cold for them, but it's, you could still go to the beach or whatever, and it always feels weird to me to have warm temperatures in winter. I don't love that. So to me, I would still, even if there's not snow, I would want it to be cold, which doesn't help you in Australia because it's probably 90 degrees or something there.
Well,
no, it gets cold. No, we get frosts. Frosts are very normal for us where I live in Canberra.
Okay.
Snow happens very occasionally. I think the only capital city, your best bet would be Hobart down in Tasmania if you're looking for snow to fall in a capital city. Otherwise, we've got some mountain ranges. Tasmania will get a decent amount of snow down there. Victoria and New South Wales have the alpine regions. So we have a ski season.
Okay.
In winter in, as I said, Tasmania, New South Wales, Victoria. Going to Western Australia, I think it's a bit harder. It's a bit warmer in the west than over here. But yes, it gets very cold in Canberra. I like cold. So I can do cold in terms of writing about winter, not so much snow. Although that said, in Falling for the Farmer, my first book, there's snow falling in that book.
I remember that one. I enjoyed that, seeing that. But for you guys, for sure, down under, winter but not Christmas is every year, right?
That's
your
true.
Christmas is in the dead of summer for you guys, and winter is completely separate from Christmas.
That is true.
Yeah, so that's why I probably don't have a problem thinking about winter as being different, because winter is July.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that I'm trying. July is usually at least 98 degrees outside, and here in the DC area it gets so humid, so you'll have 98% humidity and not a cloud in the sky. It just, you walk out and you're drenched because there's just so much uck in the air. It's horrible. So I can't imagine that's not Christmas to me.
Well, we don't get the humidity where I live. I
intentionally
don't. Queensland, if you want humidity like that, go to Northern Territory, WA, Western Australia, Queensland, the tropics. You'll get that awful humidity. Yeah. I hate humidity. Even if it's 70%, I'm complaining about it.
It's horrible.
So we get dry heat. So we will get over 100 Fahrenheit here. But typically we don't get the humidity. Although this summer season, we've had La Nina happening, which is where you get the rainfall. Yep. So once you get the rainfall and the afternoon storms, then you will get some humidity. But thankfully, it's not like you have a shower and then you get out and 5 minutes later you want another shower. So it's good.
Nice.
That is good.
Well, I've got another one. Can I talk?
Oh, yes. No.
It's one of mine. I have a series of novellas called the Riverbend series, and they're set
fabulous
in
series.
British Columbia, Canada, which is where I live. And so there's seasons. There's 5 seasons, right, everybody? There's winter, spring, summer, fall, and Christmas.
Oh.
So you didn't know that?
No.
That's what my calendar tells me. So Secretly Yours is the first one in the series, and it takes place between New Year's and Valentine's Day. So I had a lot of fun with that because I could just look outside and kind of go by what the weather was doing. I did actually write it in that time frame as well. But we lived in a town that got tons and tons and tons of snow, and I played off of my memories for that in this little bit. All of Riverbend seemed hushed today beneath the half-meter of snow that had fallen in the past few days. The snowplow steadily churned up one street and down the next, pushing the heavy fall into the center of the roadways. It took a 4x4 to make a left turn anywhere in town with that center pile higher than many vehicles. And I have lived that. I have left turned on that. In a 4x4, you're just kind of like, all right, hope nobody's coming, and you crank the wheel and give it gas, and over you go. I mean, not over, but over. So, and then another day, she's getting off work, and she's walked, and there he is, the hero, whom she is not speaking with. "Can I give you a ride home?" he asks. Half an hour trudging down slippery sidewalks, some of them not even shoveled, freezing to death. 3 minutes in a warm car. Walking sounded good. He chuckled. Promise I won't bite. A gust of wind blasted past the edge of the restaurant, whipping her coat and hair. She was being ridiculous. Whatever. Whoa, that had been rude. Lindsay took in a long breath and let it out slowly. Thank you, but why are you here? So that the whole thing, they do a lot of snowshoeing and kissing in the snow to warm up, I guess. But yeah, playing with the whole winter shiver thing. But I didn't really think about balancing the purposefully balancing in the spiritual aspect to the weather, the way you talked about it, making me think that I need to do it again. Not this one, but a different one.
It's a good novella. I like that. I like that whole series.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
I will say that it is interesting to me that really I can only think of Kara's book as an example of someone who's interwoven Narnia into a Christian romance. And that's sort of surprising because you see all sorts of Jane Austen types of nods or other classics, and it's like, why are people not weaving Narnia into their books more?
Maybe
Is it because of the genre, do you think? I mean, Pride and Prejudice is romance, so it's more logical, whereas Narnia is more fantasy.
Sure.
So maybe if we were looking at Christian fantasy, you might see more nods to Narnia.
That's true.
That's what I was going to say too. In Narnia, you've got 4 siblings and nary romance in sight. So to marry the two is a bit more of a stretch. Whereas, yeah, there is Pride and Prejudice knockoffs and wannabes and could have beens and all that everywhere because romance.
Going back to winter romance, I really like the stranded together romance trope that it always comes with winter romance, because typically you don't get stranded together when there's a wildfire going because you're running away somewhere to be safe.
Yeah.
Whereas stranded in the woods is quite a common romance story that I quite enjoy.
Yeah.
And snow can make it hard to get out.
Stranded is good in the winter because there's so many more like the nature is against you, right? Because frostbite is a thing, and all that sort of thing. There's we'll make this like 4 for 4. There's the last book in Heroes of Freedom Ridge has a stranded in a snowstorm theme to it. Tara Grace Erickson's installment. So if you haven't read those yet, those are worth reading. And if you love Stranded, that's a great Stranded one. I'm about halfway through it right now. So I've done a Stranded, but it wasn't in winter. So it wasn't super scary. It was just hot. They were fine.
You got to have a Stranded coming up next summer. That's a summer Stranded.
Yeah.
So but Stranded in winter definitely is much scarier in many ways. Although the mosquitoes don't eat you alive in winter, so there's that.
That's true. And you can't put a price on not having mosquitoes at all. There's no price for that. Cool. Yes. Winter. Sorry. It does sort of lend itself. I guess you could, they're romantic suspense. I was going to say, Dani Pettrey has her Alaskan Courage series, but they're more romantic suspense. And Alaska, I mean, is pretty much winter all year round, just for most of us. So maybe not the girl in British Columbia, but I think
actually a lot of it has a very temperate climate because they've got so much coastline. That's unless true. You're inland. So yeah.
I feel like some of those Alaskan Courage books might be winter, but not Christmas. But I did not think of them until just now, so I didn't research it. But that's a great series. If you haven't read it and you like romantic suspense, I highly recommend those books. They're fantastic. fantastic. All right. Actually, Carla Laureano, some of her books in Colorado are in the winter, and they're not Christmas books.
Yeah.
There was one. Yeah, I want to say the last one, but I don't remember
The
titles.
coffee one? I don't remember if it was the coffee one or the one before, but those are good. Her foodie books.
Yeah.
And they're foodie. So you just sit there hungry the whole time you're reading.
There's that.
We'll have to talk about food and books in one of our episodes.
Yes, we
Yes.
should. We should for sure.
And we should bring a snack.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Final wintry thoughts.
Waiting for spring.
Yeah.
Waiting for summer to end.
Yeah.
Why is it you always want what you don't have?
That is true. That's another good topic for this, because there's a lot of books that would fit as well.
I do like winter. I like it a lot. I like it a lot more now that I work from home, and if the roads are bad, I don't have to go anywhere.
Yes.
That was my big thing, was slip sliding around in the snow. I never had an episode quite like what that guy did, decapitating a snowman, but I have done my share of sliding around on a road, and it's not much fun.
No.
But working from home, and I can go out for a walk in the snow, and I can go snowshoeing. I love snow now that I don't have to drive in it all the time.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
like winter without snow. Or winter with 2 hours of snow falling. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing.
Just
You
enough
live
to
where
look-
you live, and that I live where I live.
Yes.
Just enough to look pretty, not enough to stick around for long.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Then we'll call it. We're pretty good. So this has been fun. And please, look up those books. Let us know what you think. If you have something that we missed, let us know that as well. Thank you for joining us at Story Chats at Inspy Romance. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Hit your bell for notifications. And you can find us on inspyromance.com/storychats or at storychats.podbean.com. And we hope we'll see you next week. So in the meantime, be sure to fall in love with a good book. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.